And we are live. This is Sounds Live on the FPRN Radio Network, broadcasting live from my home base, as usual, as always, Pittston, Pennsylvania, right on the border of FEMA Region 2 and 3. And I am your host, Anthony Antonello, on a hot, sweltering day, doing everything we can to try to stay cool here in the studio, and that is almost impossible to do. But we are doing our best, and we are just doing what we got to do, which is bring you information and stories that you're not going to hear anywhere else, and do it better than pretty much everybody out there. So I know at the top of the hour, we're going to be joined by Keith Smith, a good buddy of mine, who actually helped me through my first experience with cryptocurrencies. And it's really interesting because I had my own experience with, went through the same evolution, I guess you could say, with him. And no, the AC is shut off. So being and the Fed guy, and understanding what's tangible and what's not, that I was real hesitant as about cryptocurrencies, because to me, if you can't hold it, if it's not something in your hand, because of the way I understood the Federal Reserve, then it's useless. But I mean, the more I understood goods and services and the value of something and what makes something valuable, then the more I realized that if people are taking this as a currency, if they're willing to trade and do all kinds of stuff with it, it piqued my interest, and I started looking into it. And same with him. That's how I first met Keith. Is he was huge and the Fed guy. And that's that. He started telling me about more and more about it, and a lot of my friends got into it real early. And I know I'm a late bloomer when it comes to that, but we'll talk more about that later. Right out the gate here, we have a story. Let me make sure I pull this up here, because this is. Did you do them back? Did you do them backward? Yeah. Okay. Oh my God. All right. This is just. This is incredible here. All right. Actually, wait. Okay, it's covered on Press for Truth, which I know of. That's Dan Dick's website. Uh, I mean, I don't want to build it up. I can't build it up, but I'm laughing because this is just. I mean, I'm sure I totally believe this, and if anything, I would actually go I would give it another percent or two. All right, but this is just absolutely crazy. All right, here it is. I'm going for it. You ready? 94% of all terrorist attacks are invented by the, wait for it, FBI. And it makes so much sense. And this is, let's see, of the hundreds of convictions made foiling attacks of terror over the last few years, 90%, 94% of them were actually fabricated by the fucking Bureau of Investigation. A new study by Project Salam shows the FBI is entrapping people that look like they could commit terrorist acts by offering money and coercing them into committing these acts. Now, we've talked about this extensively. We've talked about this from all different angles as far as I know as soon as you use the word false flag, oh my God, conspiracy theorist. But this is what it is right here. And hang on, I'll try to let me pull this up for you. Um, yeah, so we cover this from the aspect of if somebody's false flag and he's a conspiracy theorist and all that nonsense. But the truth of the matter is that it's real. If you look at these stories, most of them are mentally challenged people, and well, it's the truth though. Uh, Hang on a second. Spotty audio.
It's cleared up. It's cleared up.
Are we good?
Yeah.
All right. I don't know why I'm not getting notifications on my Skype either. So just if something important happens, if the producer needs me, let me know.
No, I'll give you a heads
All right. So we've talked about this a million ways from Sunday, and you go back to Richard Reed, the shoe bomber. Okay, I got the story right here, and the underwear bomber. Okay, Malik Abdul Matalib. Yeah, let's get a little more light here. So he was another big one, and even his father reportedly went and talked to either CIA or FBI or one of them and tried explaining what's going on. He admitted that his son had mental problems, and you look at all of these instances. Now, this one isn't exactly their MO as far as the terrorist attacks, but it's certainly something that advances their agenda. Do you remember the Hutari militia? Okay, now there you have an instance where you have a quote unquote militia, and probably a bunch of guys playing army soldier training. All right, all good, great, perfectly not wrong with that. And they were infiltrated by a member of the costume wearing clowns that think so these guys are actually even worse because they think they're even above well, you know what, that's a tough one. Who's worse as far as local, state, or federal? And no, I'm not even gonna. We could save that conversation for later. But the Hutari militia, this was top to bottom FBI infiltration, entrapment, to a degree you've never seen before. They infiltrated the militia. Okay, this FBI agent. He went in and he started making friends with these people. And what's really sad about this situation is this quote unquote militia really seemed to kind of be like not really enthusiastic about what they were doing. And they I guess they had meetings, they did some training here and there. This guy shows up, he's gun ho, this FBI guy, and he starts giving them more equipment. He's giving them all kinds of stuff. He's teaching them things. And then he mentioned something about, we should do X, Y, and Z. X, Y, and Z being federal felonies, okay? And nobody agreed with them, but nobody disagreed with them. So for the fact that nobody said, hey, wait a minute, that sounds crazy. Now, they didn't even have time to maybe go in the other room. They could have been like, hey, dude, so-and-so's got to go. This guy's crazy. He's talking about, committing all kinds of federal offenses. No, they send in the jackbooted thugs, and it was a front page news, above the fold on every newspaper, headline news on all the propagandists on television. oh, the militia were planning an attack. No, they weren't. The federal government was trying to make it look like they were going to plan an attack. And, this is where a lot of this actually comes from. And if you understand, you know what? I'm going to jump right into something here because I just thought of something, and I don't know how far people's minds have gotten that they even get this. Okay, uh, when it comes to staged terror, all right, and we're seeing it on a regular basis now. You don't get evidence, you don't get video, you don't get anything other than their words. It's their words that are gonna, convince you, and everybody just buys it hook, line, and sinker. Okay, and you have the not mainstream. You got the corporate owned media that push these issues, okay? And a lot of these instances are compartmentalized, all right? And what that means is you could literally be in the military and they'll make you think that you're doing a secret operation. You're fucking Captain America ready to save the world. And, they'll isolate you. They'll take you. Hey, we're going to take you off payroll. We're going to, completely put you underground. And we need you to do this. We need you to take package A to, whatever. We need you to drive this van, under the World Trade Center. And this is how it works. Okay. And at the last minute, sometimes people realize like, holy shit, I'm being set up. But this is what they do. They get real people to do real acts, making them think that they're doing training drills or exercises. And what better way to get somebody to carry out the unthinkable? I mean, nobody in their right mind would do half of this stuff. And you could also get into the mind control aspect of it. Perfect. Here's what I want to touch on. All right. I don't know where a lot of you stand on JFK. I would hope right out the gate you don't believe the official story. I would hope that goes without saying. But how about the fact that before Lee Harvey Oswald was killed, he straight up said, "I am the patsy." Okay. So now think about this in modern terms. All right. Like now they have people saying, oh, all these terrorists, they're going to be falling over each other to claim who did it. Or, oh, yeah, we knocked down the towers, or we did this, or we did that. Well, I mean, this guy supposedly pulled off the $1 million shot, executed a sitting president, and he tells the people, hey, I'm being set up. I'm the fucking patsy. And I know people make the argument, he just didn't want to get killed, or the electric chair. Listen, if you are so dedicated that you're about to, yeah, right. Look at the chat room. That's funny. If you're so dedicated that you're and hang on, let me even back up here. Dedicated. If you're so convinced with your cause, and that cause is to commit an act of violence of that nature, then I think you would be taking credit for it. And I know there's murders and people, I don't want, that's a little bit different than assassinating a president of the United States. So when this guy says, hey, I'm being set up, I'm a patsy, I mean, what do you think about that, Jeff? Does it show the difference in generations? Like, we have the internet now, and like, do you think something like that would fly? Well, I don't know. The American people seem to fall for anything.
Because you got to look at like the Warren Commission and Arlen Specter's magic bullet theory and all that.
That reminds me.
And the American public bought that hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah. So I mean, it almost doesn't matter what you hear, what you see. Nothing matters. The only thing that matters, and you know what? This reminds me of the clip from Wag the Dog. Producer, if I definitely no hard feelings if you can't find this one, but if you find it, it would be very impressive. There's a scene in Wag the Dog with Robert De Niro where he says it didn't happen, it wasn't on TV, and if you see this movie, I swear to actually, I heard that it was based on a true story of I think Bill Clinton, how they started this fake war just to take political pressure off of what was happening with the country. And did you ever see the movie Wag the Dog?
Mhm.
Oh, what a great movie! If you haven't seen this movie, and I actually made a short trilogy out of this, showing real media clips and how they call everything training exercises, just like in Enemy of the State. They go to the head of the NSA or the one guy who's running the NSA. What do we call it? Call it a training op one. So and all these people, and at the end, the couple that actually lived that were with the NSA, how did this happen? I don't know, sir. This was, all I knew it was a training exercise. The other guy, I was just hired for a job for a training exercise, and it gives all these people plausible deniability. And it shows you that, I mean, how easy these people could pull something like this off if they wanted to. But for the fact that um, 94% of, I mean, you want to talk about terrorism, and I bring this up so often. The definition of terrorism is using force and violence to create a climate of fear in which you could advance your political agenda forward. Well, if the Federal Bureau of Investigation, okay, the FBI is responsible, the government, okay, responsible for 94% of terrorist attacks, then who the fuck do you think the terrorists are? Who are they? And this is why I have said time and time again, so many times, the war on terror. Do you really think that it's against an ideology from, a planet far, far away, from a country halfway around the world, or countries that this country just happens to be finding reasons to go and invade yet again after trillions of dollars failed, millions of lives lost? It's utter nonsense. So to me, it's pretty obvious who the terrorists are. And when people want to talk about the United States government, well, there's a huge difference between the United States government and the America as a country, as a geographic location, and the American people, the American culture. And honestly, I mean, okay, I can't say anything about the geographic location, but I mean, really, there's really nothing to be proud of at this point. I mean, in the last 40, 50 years, what has America done? Anything? I mean, really, what has America done other than become an empire that is, going from nation to nation, building? I mean, and then you wonder why the rest of the world looks at this country and just shakes their head. I mean, if you think that the rest of the world looks at this country like the shining city on the hill, no.
No, those days are long gone.
Yeah, those days are
long gone.
Long gone. And just like Adam Kokesh says a lot, when he was over in Fallujah, that they were literally making more enemies than they can kill. They were making enemies faster than they can kill them. And what do you think is going to happen when your entire family is killed for no reason whatsoever? Oh, collateral damage, sorry. You have no recourse whatsoever. You have nothing left. Do you think you might actually say, you know what? Fuck it. Now I'm going to do something, and this is where I see politics at in America right now, where people are sitting back and they're trying to do the best they can. And it's that, a lot of people are getting by, but then you have an instance, whatever happened out in Las Vegas where the two cops got shot, whatever happened out there. All right. When you have an institution of violence that lives off of violence, that their only way of doing things is through force, fraud, and coercion, then what do you think is going to happen when people have nothing left to lose? When you take everything from them, when you back them up against the wall, what do you think is going to happen? So that's just I don't know. When you told me this statistic here, it blew my mind, and at the same time, I wasn't surprised at all. Hang on.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at all the time that they from the what was it, the underwear bomber, the shoe bomber.
Mhm.
You had the guy that was down, the car salesman or whatever that was, everybody was so quick to jump onto, he's working for Iran, he's an Iranian agent, and then it comes out right after that he was enticed by, what was it, the
Wait, which one?
ATF? That guy who was down in Texas that worked as a used car salesman or whatever his name was.
I don't remember that was.
He said he was working for Iran.
Oh my God!
I'll look
And there's another
but
thing.
I mean, it came out that he was enticed by the FBI, and it was nothing to do with it being an act of terrorism.
Yeah,
It was an act of entrapment.
Well, and there's so many of these stories that you hear about instantly, then they just fall right from they just completely go, and like that one story where they were saying a guy was held up hostage in his house. It was somewhere down south, and they're like, oh, he's holding a kid hostage, and they made it out. Oh, he's a Tea Partier, and he has a "Don't Tread on Me" flag, something like that, and they made it out like this big deal. They bashed. What I'm trying to think, what I'm saying. They bashed the people on the right, and then all of a sudden it turns out that they were completely wrong about the story, and then the story just fell from the headlines like completely, just unbelievable. Actually, I might have this clip. What's the next story you got, brother?
The next one I have up is cops thought a 70-year-old man was intoxicated, decided they were going to punch him and drag him from his car. Turns out the 70-year-old man was not intoxicated, but rather was suffering from a diabetic episode. He was in sugar shock. They thought that he was drunk, so they beat the hell out of him and ripped him out of the car. And he ended up in the hospital.
So they thought what was the reason?
It's Thomas Mathau, a 70-year-old man living in San Antonio, Texas, who describes himself as a gentle person, which is why he's so confused about the encounter with police officers in January who beat him up, sending him to the hospital with injuries. So this occurred in January. Dashboard camera footage of the incident was recently obtained by a local San Antonio affiliate. The cops might have initially thought that Mathau was intoxicated at the time, but he was actually suffering from a diabetic episode.
Oh my God! Who did the family say anything about it?
It looks like he is the only one in this article that had responded to this. He just basically said he woke up with his face in the ground. Officers responded to the scene, found Mathau with his head on his car steering wheel when he was unconscious at the point and did not exit the vehicle as cops repeatedly asked him to do. One officer punched him. It was reported that the police report, this officer defended his actions, saying that he thought Mathau was reaching for a gear that would allow him to drive off, potentially in danger. So this guy was slumped over the steering wheel, unconscious.
Yeah, I got it here.
And they somehow thought that this guy who was unconscious was trying to drive off, so they decided to punch him repeatedly.
Unbelievable. And this
at one point, I'm sorry, I'm
yeah, no, go ahead.
Here. At one point, they threatened to shoot him with a taser.
Well, why not? Yeah, I mean, absolutely dangerous criminal. Mathau was reaching for a gear that would allow him to drive off, potentially endangering others. Okay, how about just in our area not too long ago? Remember we had there was a state trooper who was flying down the road and ended up smashing into that girl. He killed her.
Well, there's
she's dead because him driving reckless. Wait a minute, actually, I think that happened twice recently.
Yeah, I was just gonna say my mother, who never gets speeding tickets or pulled over or anything. Jenkins, I think it was Jenkins Township.
Probably.
They pulled her over there at the stop sign. He was talking to some guy.
They'll shoot you right in the head for nothing.
Well, he was not even watching what was going on. He just was talking to some guy, saw her pull away, and pulled her over, told her she ran the stop sign. And she said, of course, she didn't run the stop sign. So she pled not guilty, got the court date. Before the court date got there, he flipped his vehicle over coming down the mountain on the highway and died in the accident. Drunk.
The cop.
Yeah. So she went to the hearing, and of course, a dead cop doesn't show up in the at the magistrate's office, so she was found not guilty.
Okay. I'm surprised they didn't give her
Another
two,
officer.
2 to 4 years. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
no, just some, just some officer
Randomly just walking
showing
in
up,
taser.
and no, yeah, shows up, says he was the officer. Actually, they acknowledge that he's not the officer, but
Yeah.
the way the law is written, he's able to take the officer's place. Okay, and the lady would be like, but your honor, that officer, there's no way he could have known what happened. It's a completely different person.
Tasered in the
Yeah,
face.
taser. Right. No, that's about right. Tasered in the face. So, yeah, that's pretty much what we're dealing with here. So, we have broken arms of freedom.
Yeah.
You know,
Broken arms.
right. Tasered in the face for freedom. And, yeah, that's about right. So let me see what else we got here.
Speaking of tasered in the face.
Oh, God.
We said last week about the Los Angeles Police Department and their drone getting destroyed after the
yeah.
Stanley Cup. They now have announced that they have a new drone, and it's the first of its kind. It's a riot control drone. Fires pepper spray, rubber bullets, dye or paintballs, strobe lights, as well as audible warnings.
Man, let me pull it up there.
Yeah, it's a giant octo eight rotor looking drone. It looks like it has missile pods there on the bottom of it.
Yeah, so let's see. Oh yeah, that's lovely. Oh my God, it looks like something out of Star Wars.
Yeah.
So it's got let's see, 3, 6, 7 propellers. It looks like it's got nitrous. You see it? See the nitrous tank?
Yeah.
It's got what are those? 450 cals?
Yeah.
Like,
no, there's those Stinger missiles that are there on them.
oh my God, this is absolutely crazy. So, hang on, I pulled the wrong one over. And what did it say? It actually does shoot though. It shoots what? Pepper spray?
Yeah, pepper spray, paintballs.
Paintballs.
Yeah, well, paintballs in case let's say there's there's looters. You know what I mean? And so they'll paintball you so they can find you later. You know, like the paintballs and the money bags. And
These
stuff.
people really need to grow up. You know, it's like a world of adult psychopath children. That's what it is. This is a world run by adult psychopath children. They're children to the point where
these are the people who used to take cats in the woods and skin them and stuff and nail them to trees.
Right. And you know, hey, I got an idea. Oh, it's got 8. Okay. Hey, I got an idea, you know. Let's create a drone. And I could picture a kid doing this. But when you have unlimited funds for the military and industrial complex, of course it's not going to be a problem. Let's create a drone and let's have it shoot paintballs and maybe it'll throw some stink bombs out there and you know, it could shoot people. Oh, it'll be great. We'll put night vision on it. And we could have it flying at a certain angle, so the propellers could just start like slicing into people, and you know, that are protesting, those nasty protesters. You know, we'll get these people in line real quick. So yeah, that's pretty much what it is all about from that one. Yeah. All right. What else do we got here? This is just so. Do you think they seen the video of what happened to the? No, because that was probably a domestic one anyway, right?
Well, no, that
last
drone,
one that got taken down. Oh, we got what's that?
That drone was LAPD drone.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, no, that was theirs. That wasn't like a private citizen's drone.
Oh yeah, right. Oh, wait a minute, that was
Yeah.
LAPD's? Oh wow, I didn't realize
drone.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, well, okay, well, good,
You know, right?
good, and I know we covered it. The way I felt about it, as far as I didn't believe it was people doing it because they felt so hardcore about drones, but I believe they did it because it was just something that they were able to do at that moment. But yeah, I'm glad. I am glad to hear that somebody took down and ruined equipment of the LAPD. Not only because they are a police department, but the most corrupt. I think, the most corrupt police department in the country. I don't know if my microphone's working here, dude. So I know that
We can hear you.
we're close to break here, and I'm not. I hope I can hear the music when it comes up. Um, we have to be close to break here, and I'm not really hearing anything, honestly.
It's up now, I think.
It's playing
Yeah,
now.
it's playing now.
Yeah, well, how come I'm not hearing anything? All right, well, I guess I'll figure that out. Oh, there we go. All right, guys, this is Anthony Antonello. You are listening to Sounds is Compliance on the FPRN Radio Network. We're going to take a quick break, and I'll see you on the other side. Stay right there. And we are back. This is Sounds is Compliance on the FPRN Radio Network, broadcasting live from my home base here in Pittston, Pennsylvania. Syndicated across the internet and across the planet. I am your host, as always, investigative journalist, reporter, however you want to label it, activist, just a guy who is willing to do what it seems like most people aren't or won't. So this is where we find ourselves, writing the pages of history, literally, and this is what we do for a living. And thank you for joining us and witnessing the downfall of the corporate-owned media conglomerate, fakesters, repeaters, populists, pompous clowns. Yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about that. And I do have a real big event coming up, and unfortunately, I have to really walk the fence on this one. And the only reason is for strategic purposes. I would really like to keep the element of surprise the best I can. Those of you who know me really well and follow my work probably have a good idea what's happening, but I just don't want to go on the record yet and talk about exactly what's going to be going on. But if you are looking to help, get in touch with me. Send me an email at one of my, go to my website, send me an email there, Anthony Antonello 29 at Gmail, or PM me on Facebook. And actually, while we're on it, might as well get some of that out of the way. I really have to encourage you to do this, because if not me, then who? Yeah, I mean, I was getting reminded for such a long time that I have to keep reminding people, and I guess that really shows you why the numbers are so through the roof when I have this operation going here, and we're doing 2 and 3 times better than the local mainstream media. Well, that's kind of saying something. So make sure you continue to follow AnthonyAntonello.com. Sign up for email alerts. You'll get all the information you need there as far as any events. Right now, I'm doing 3 shows a week. Sunday night, Liberty Chat, 7 to 9. Tuesday night, Voluntary Virtues Network. That's 7 to 8. And then Wednesday night, right here where it all started, FPRN Radio. And don't forget, you could listen to this on your mobile app or on TuneIn, which is a great application. It's free. I used to use it to listen to people I was interested in. So download that app, check us out there. And I really, this is the one part I really hate about doing this, but I have to bring it up. Doing this, we rely on you. So help in any way you can. If you support us, help us. If you can make a donation, great. I don't care if it's $5. I take Bitcoin, whatever it is. If you could share the videos, if you want to help with anything, if you want to write stories, if you want to be an affiliate reporter, if you want to go out in the field and report for me, and not for, not to me, but for the show, if you want to be part of that, then get in touch with me, because what we're building here is It's brand new. It's something. It's got a lot of everything and from all different angles. So you definitely want to be part of this. And where are you going to be in 20, 30 years when you have literal shackles around your ankles and handcuffs and surveillance cameras and you're in a rubber diaper, you're in a rubber room. I made this analogy the other day when I was talking about a controlled environment and how things still happen in prison. This is what it's going to lead to. And if you don't speak up, if you're afraid to speak up now, then when are you going to speak up? If you can't speak up now, and you still have, even though it's been mostly taken away, but they're not enforcing their laws as much as they would like to. If you can't speak up now, all right, just because things are unpopular and you don't want to be an outcast and you don't want people to look down at you, what makes you think you're going to be able to speak up later when things get real serious? When neighbors start disappearing, when your friends start disappearing. I've been dealing with that for years, okay? But what makes you think you're going to be able to step up later if you can't step up now in this? This is nothing, people. And I know it's terrible. I know it's an absolute police state, and the police are completely out of control. The government is completely out of control, and the media supplies cover. They brainwash the rest of Americans into accepting this and saying, it's cool to allow these police officers to just kill people on a regular basis. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Oh, it's cool to just taser people for no reason whatsoever. It's cool to get a 70-year-old guy and smash his face because you
He's
think
having a medical emergency.
right, because he's having a medical emergency and they were performing CPR on his face using his fist and just doing it inappropriately. That's all. So I mean, if you're going to keep justifying these ridiculous stories, and they're there every single day.
Martin Luther King Jr. has a great quote. There comes a time when silence is betrayal. And that's the honest truth.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
How long can you sit and watch all this stuff going on and not speak up?
I've been saying this since I started the show that I wanted to dedicate at least a segment, if not a whole show, to the title of the show, Silence is Compliance. And there are many people that have talked about it and done it through used it through the years. But as far as where it actually originated from, and this young female Italian activist years ago, it's a really incredible story about her parents were activists, and she ended up growing up and becoming this real hardcore activist, and it's a really great story. And I really do want to. Hey, you know what? Let's see. I know we're gonna be busy for the 4th, that's for sure. Maybe the week after the 4th, we'll try to. We'll see what happens, because we never know what's gonna happen from now until then. But all right, what else do we got here, Jeff? Before we get to Keith Smith at 8:00 and talk about cryptos and a bunch of other stuff, we got. So, and those of you who are just joining us, we covered a lot today. And when I say a lot, we only covered maybe 2 or 3 stories. But this one story is just off the meter crazy. 94% of all terrorist attacks are invented by the FBI. Okay, so think about that when you're having conversations with anybody and you want to make the argument about, oh, there's a good cop, or the government's good, or whatever the situation is. Well, you need to ask why. But I don't know. What do you got there, brother?
Well, I have an article here that appears on the Blaze that the FBI is searching for a doomsday prepper whose neighbors say has views that are different from other people. Apparently, the FBI is searching for a Florida man described as a doomsday prepper who fled from agents on Monday. According to a Florida affiliate, Martin Winters took off in his car and is later thought to have gone on foot in Lithia, Florida, a Tampa suburb, after FBI agents approached him with a search warrant. Previously, Winters allegedly told an undercover agent that he had built illegal weapons and made concerning comments about how he planned to use them. The FBI said that these weapons were not properly registered as required by U.S. law. Vincent Bernard, who rents property from Winters, told WTVT, the Florida affiliate, that he thinks that Marty is a good guy. He has views that are different from other people, Bernard told the news station, of the man said to lead the group River Otter Preppers. He loves God. I know that he reads a lot of the book of Revelations from the Bible. John Kuntz, a friend of Winters, told the Tampa Tribune Winters is a civic kind of leader and a helper his whole life in that neighborhood. Casey Kendall, who also rents from Winters, told the TV station that she thinks he is a good man as well. He puts out produce every week for the people in need, and he has tremendously helped us all out. Kendall and her boyfriend Jason Swain, who was later arrested along with a few other group members, were stopped by agents at gunpoint while in their car with 3 children earlier this week. Their home, rented from Winters, was raided by the FBI, according to WTSP-TV, with agents taking several shell casings and mail. They weren't going to find anything anyways. He said he's not hiding anything. So what is he supposed to be hiding? Kendall told WTSP.
Right.
David Cotevier, the FBI, said talking about ideas isn't the issue. That these things are protected by the Constitution just for that purpose. But when they start breaking the law to carry out those ideologies or philosophies, that's when we step in, particularly when it has the potential to endanger public safety.
Oh my God.
So they're still looking for this guy, as far as I know. Exactly what they're looking for him for, they didn't mention what exactly the weapons were that the FBI is saying that he had in his possession.
Oh my God! So they don't even know what is in his possession.
Well, the article didn't say what they were referring to when they said that he had weapons that were not registered.
Wow, that's lovely. I found this clip. I think it's the one I wanted to play from before. So and I would love to talk about that more, but it's really hard to concentrate trying to do all this stuff. And you don't have a Dropbox over there either. Whatever. Fuck it.
Oh, there is an update to that story. The FBI said Winters turned himself in late Wednesday.
All right, so the guy turned himself in?
He did, yeah.
So the neighbor who said that they thought he was a nice guy?
Pretty much everybody that they interviewed.
So
everybody but the FBI.
So who called the cops on him?
It was nobody called the police on him. The FBI, I guess, was conducting an investigation, and he had, I guess, bragged to an undercover FBI agent that he had some modified illegal weapons.
Some modified illegal weapons?
Yeah, like I mean, if let's say you had a lower for a semi-automatic weapon, and you modified the spring set inside the firearms lower and turned it into a fully automatic weapon. That would become an illegally modified weapon.
Okay, I got you. Oh my God! So there you have. That's pretty much exactly what we've been talking about for a long time. Is when we look at the Patriot hit list and Meet the Patriots and the Southern Poverty Law Center saying if you have more than 7 days of food, you are a terrorist. See if you could pull up a list real quick of what makes. I know they had a couple different lists out, and one I think was like 40, something like that.
Yeah, there was a bunch of stuff I remember just like that. That if you make small cash purchases and
yeah, right. It was a bunch of stuff. Let me see here. I want to try to play something. I don't know if this is going to work or not. Hang on, let me try something. right. Tell me if you can. Oh, tell me if you can hear this. Really? Doesn't. Oh wait. Okay. All right, here we go. I got it. All right, here. All right. Can you hear me, Jeff? Right here.
No.
You can't hear me?
I can hear you, yeah. No.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
All right, here. Watch this. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the clip I'm talking about.
I'm in the first draft of the one.
You know,
one smart bomb falling down the chimney.
where bomb? Oh, why is it cut off like that? Okay. Yeah, you can't even make it out. All right. Well, that's what happens. All right. Oh well. We won't be able to play that.
I found that list.
All right. Let's get into that then.
So as far as the FBI is concerned, this is who they consider suspicious of terrorist activities. People who significantly alter appearance from visit to visit, shaving beard, changing hair color, style of dress, etc. Missing hand, fingers, chemical burns, strange odors, or bright-colored stains on clothing.
Hang on. So, actually, go back over the last couple again.
Okay, so people who the FBI considers you suspicious of terrorist activity.
Okay.
If you significantly alter your appearance, including shaving your beard, changing your hair color, or your style of dress.
Oh, no, perfectly normal. Right. Okay. Go ahead.
If you are missing hands, fingers, if you have chemical burns, strange odors, or bright-colored stains on your clothing.
Bright-colored stains on your clothing. So if you spill bleach on your clothing,
yeah, then you might be a terrorist.
You might be a terrorist.
I
was just gonna say you might be a
terrorist.
Yeah, you might be a terrorist if you breathe. So what else you got? What else does it say? So actually, send me that. Send it over to me. I want to see this.
It's a PDF that I pulled up here right from there.
So if you, oh my God, and this. Really, people, if you don't get it at this point, you might be a terrorist. Seriously, if you don't get it at this point, you might be a terrorist. And
so they also say that if you fill a shopping list of components, lacking knowledge about specifications and uses, so basically, if you're the average, 45-plus-year-old man or woman walking into Best Buy, you might be a terrorist.
Listen, okay. I got it. So it's visit to significantly alters appearance from visit to visit. Now, first of all, what do you mean visit to visit? Where and who? Missing hand, fingers, chemical burns. Okay, so right there, missing hand or fingers, you're calling any vet who is missing a hand or a finger because of what they've been involved in. But then again, all right, I'm not even going down that road because we don't have time for that argument. So, all right, fills a shopping list of components lacking knowledge about specifications and uses. So, if you go into a store and you fill up a shopping cart and ask people, "Hey, what would happen if I put this chlorine mixed with the bleach?" Or I mean, it would be so ridiculous because how would somebody even know what you mean? And it's like people don't ask you, hey, that's a dish detergent. You do know what that's used for, right? Like you don't get this in grocery stores. Let's see. Insists prepaid phones not to be activated or programmed upon purchase. Oh yeah, that's lovely. Let's see here. Pays cash for large purchases. Uses credit card in different names, uses. Well, I mean, at this point, and if they are going to play this game, I guess I would have to be fair and give that to them. But at the same time, I would bring counterpoint and say, with the NSA and the government spying on everything you do, I mean, is it really beyond the realm that people want some sort of privacy? Or if they want erectile dysfunction pills and they don't want their wife to know about it, so they set up a different address or name or something. I mean, this is what has happened to the country, where you have no privacy, you have nothing. Everything is it's just wide open. It's a free. I don't even want to use it. It is absolutely wide open, and it's ridiculous. So here, travels illogical distance to purchase items or asks where similar stores are located. That just sounds like a smart criminal to me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the best ones come in at the bottom of the list here.
Okay. Radio frequencies used, not used by law enforcement. Voice or data encryption, VOP satellite phones. Voice privacy. Use of anonymous portals or other means to shield IP address. My God. These are half of these things I need to do just to keep functioning, so my shit's not taken down on a daily basis. Swapping SIM cards in cell phones, or how phone located would be tracked, rewiring cell phones, ringer or backlight, products, components related to military. Let's see, purchases including unusual combinations of electronic timer or timing devices, two-way radios, GPS, oh my God, digital voice changers, infrared devices, police scanners, phone or bug detection devices, batteries, switches, wire or soldering tools, night vision flashlight bulbs. And you want to know what the amazing thing about what I just described? Do you want to know the one group that covers the one group? I could give you one word and it will cover every single one of those things we just mentioned, but by far. You know what the word is? Government. Government does every single one of those things, and I guarantee you somewhere in the millions and millions of people that work for the government, you'll find somebody with, missing fingers and hands. But the rest of all this stuff, I mean, they do this for a living. This is what they do. The FBI, the CIA. So yeah, these people do this stuff. So what they're gonna tell you, they're gonna try to convince you. Well, actually, I don't even know if they're still trying to convince people that it's land of the free, home of the brave, and this is a country of equality. Equality? Are you kidding me? A government agency just made up a list of things they do, but if you do, you're a terrorist, all right? And for the people to sit back and take it, I'm not somebody that listens to Alex Jones every day, and I'm not in the cult, but I listen to him every now and then, and I the reason I'm bringing this up, I have to give him credit for this great line he had this week. He said, "Land of the free, home of the brave. What a bunch of bull." And then he said, "False advertising." And I mean, you want to talk about hitting the nail on the head. That is so true. Land of the free, home of the brave. That is 100% false advertising, except for a small minority. And that minority you are finding right here, as we are doing our best to expose these creeps that want to ruin not just you, but the entire world, your children, your grandchildren, and everything that is good in this world. And that's what government does. So we will be right back. I am your host, Anthony Antonello. You're listening to Silences Compliance on the FPRN Radio Network. When we get back, Keith Smith on cryptocurrencies. I'm going to jump, and we'll see you on the other side. And we are back on the FPRN Radio Network, broadcasting live from Pittston, Pennsylvania, my home base here on the border of FEMA Region 2 and 3, syndicated across the internet and across the planet on many different networks all over the place, just putting as much truth and real information out there as we can, combating the people who want to pigeonhole us and dismiss us and call us conspiracy theorists or crazy lunatic fringe nut jobs, because we actually want freedom. We actually want to be able to live our lives without having to worry about walking out the door and one of these jackboots pulling up and showing a piece of paper talking about the power of the state behind him that he has a warrant. Not to mention how crazy it's gotten to the point of what constitutes a terrorist, and when it comes to people who like constitutionalists, okay. Um, Now I totally get where they're coming from, and I respect it, but I there's a couple huge things that I have to bring up, and one of them is when you talk about the Constitution, you have to ask yourself, one main question, whether it's a one or two part question, but we all admit that tyranny has come to America. There's no doubt about that. That discussion is over. Anybody who tries to make this case that America is not a police state, they're just absolutely delusional, and I would say don't even deal with them at that point whatsoever. But you have to say, we got to this point here, so yeah. Did the Constitution allow it, or was it that the Constitution couldn't prevent it? And I know a lot of people, and to me, it sounds like Stockholm syndrome, but a lot of people will say it's the people's fault. It's the people's fault. It's the people's fault. And I don't know, and I don't see, and I get the point. Believe me, I do, because look at me. I'm trying to get a lot of this information out while you could get 20, 30,000 people every week to show up for a football game or, one of these, any kind of sporting game. But you take all their rights, you'd be lucky if you get 20 people to show up in a parking lot or somewhere to do anything. But we'll get back to that. Right now, I want to go to our guest, and that being Keith Smith, who is a great activist from Philadelphia. And I first met Keith years ago, like I said earlier, with the End the Fed movement. And recently, he's been really big into cryptocurrencies, and he has helped me out with my first big experience with Bitcoin. And I'm sure he has a lot to talk about, and I definitely recommend everybody listening to what he has to say. So, Keith, are you there, brother?
Yes, I am. Thanks for having me on your show.
Awesome. No problem. Thanks for joining me. So what's on your mind, brother? I mean, I know we're definitely going to get into cryptocurrencies, and I was just telling people how you helped me through my first experience, and so much, and it was such a great experience that I took the opportunity to videotape everything and put a video up and let people know that, hey, I took my Bitcoin, transferred it to one of these fractional reserve extortion scam banks, and I was actually able to cash it in for Federal Reserve notes so I could pay the other extortionists the money that they're trying to get out of me. But it worked out really well, and number one, thanks for the help, brother. I appreciate all that. But what do you have on your mind tonight? Because I know you have a lot on your mind. So what's going on?
Yeah, and you're welcome. You're very welcome. It's great bringing people into the crypto world, because once they come into it, I don't know anybody that's come into it and left it yet. So once you realize how easy it is, how well it competes with the fiat dollar and
Right.
how it all works, just the basics of it, it's really hard to turn your back on it ever again. Ultimately, what we're seeing here is, the Federal Reserve and all these central banks across the world, they've had a monopoly on money for over 100 years. And they've been complacent or, kind of just sitting there and not worrying about any competing currencies. And here, for the first time in monetary history, the power of making money is in the people's hands. and they can't control it. It's not like they can come to a central location and shut down a printing press or shut down, a mint like they did with the Liberty dollar, or the Ron Paul dollar. They can't stop it, and the reason being is it's using cryptography, which is it's a form of mathematics, and it's throughout the whole world. So wherever there is a computer, and there's somebody that knows how to use the basics of a computer, the cryptocurrency will survive. So there is only one way they can do it, and that would be to black out the whole world, shut down every piece of electronics, and they can't do that because that jeopardizes their power. Their power, and I'm sure we can both agree with this, is derived through energy, correct?
Yeah, I can't argue with that.
I mean, that's why we wage our wars, is for energy. I mean, everybody can say, "Oh, it's because of Al Qaeda or it's because
who's this?
It's ultimately about oil."
I got to stop you for a second. Who's this we you speak of?
What do you mean? Who's this we?
You said that's why we wage our wars. I was just wondering who.
Well,
who's
yeah,
this?
no. Well, if you pay one, whether you like it or not, if you pay any taxes, you are supporting the war machine.
No, I agree.
It is and that's why we have to stop it.
Yeah,
so
you're right, and I make that same case to a lot of statists, telling them that if they that they actually literally support terrorism, whether they know it or not, and whether they like it or not, But go ahead,
and Stefan Molyneux made a great case for it on YouTube, where he said, if we had the cure for cancer, would we be bickering on whether or not, give it a try? Would we be sitting there, like, oh, well, a bunch of nerds sitting around. Well, it's not quite right, even though it cures cancer. I mean, what Bitcoin is it is the cure to war, because all wars are financed through debt, and Bitcoin is not a debt-based currency. It is a reserve-based currency, and it's not centrally controlled. So the central banks can't just print money out, and they can't just pass on the debt to future generations. They would have to forcefully come to you and take your Bitcoin, which is impossible because cryptography, you can hide your Bitcoin anywhere. You can hide it in your head and on paper wallets, and you can hide it, and they can't do that. So this is revolutionary in the world of banking. What we're seeing right now is much like what you saw during the whaling industry, where whales were used for whale oil to light all the lamps in the world. And once the supply of whales started to deplete, there was this, gold rush, or we can call it a gold rush, but it was big oil, and that's when big oil started. All these small guys went out to Texas and all across America, and they started drilling for oil, and that was the new thing. Now, the guys the big whalers that stayed in the whaling industry, well, how many big whalers do you know making lamp oil nowadays? I mean, that industry is done. So, but big oil is still around. Big oil was the way of the future. That's what Bitcoin is to fiat money currently. And what you're seeing is the youngest, brightest minds in banking right now are fleeing the banking industry, and they're joining up with all these cryptocurrency startup companies, which is going to revolutionize not just money, but the way information is transferred across the world.
I know, and and like I said, I had my I had a wallet, and I had a couple bucks in there, but I'd never really dealt with it on a bigger scale, and that's when you helped me through that experience, and it worked out really well. And what's amazing about that experience, and I left it in the video on purpose, is when I recorded it. Because I watched a lot of tutorials, and there wasn't one that actually showed somebody going through the whole process right to the point where they actually got to the bank, shows them getting their Federal Reserve notes, otherwise known as cash, and saying, hey, I can vouch for this. It's good. But the one experience that I had at this bank when I went there, is they gave me this piece of paper. It was about the size of a check, and the lady wanted me. I started laughing when she said the third time, and I'm like, "You want me to sign my name three times on the same piece of paper?" And so I handed it to her, and then she's like, "No, here." So I started laughing more. I'm like, "Oh, sorry, four times." And she's like, "No, and on the back." I'm like, "Oh my God, are you kidding me?" I literally had to sign my name five times on the same piece of paper, and this is the system that they keep you in. It's fractional reserve, and if people understood what that meant and what it's all about and how they make their money with interest. I mean, when I was a kid, we were taught put money in the bank, you could save and you'll get interest, and well, that's the way it worked. And even if the interest was small, that's the way it worked. Now you can't even get your own money. It's like they're watching your money, and sometimes if you want it, they won't even give it to you. It's like, oh, or if there's a certain fee to see how much money you have in your bank. And oh my God, I don't know. It shows you what a scam it is. And that's why I'm starting to like this cryptocurrency and everything that they're doing. Yeah, now they're talking about charging for deposits. I mean, think about that. You paying money to you paying somebody to say, here, I want you to watch my money, and then I would imagine you have to pay to get your money back too. So it's just nonsense. And so I transferred.
And it's not just that. It's like there's some banks that they want to know what you're pulling money out of your bank account for. I mean, it's none of your business. It's my money, not your money. But once they get a hold of your money, they think of it as their money. But technically, it is their money because they control it, and it's their fiat.
Right. So the way it works, and for those who don't know, is you say you give them $1,000, and whatever the FDIC rules as far as how much they need to keep in, it's only a fraction. That's why they call it fractional reserve banking. But they'll only keep a fraction of it. Then they use your money, okay? And they'll put it in the stock market. They'll do all kinds of stuff. They'll make a bunch of money, and everybody with a half a brain in their head knows it costs money. It takes money to make money. So if you have a lot of money, you're a somewhat intelligent person, you can make a lot of money. So think of the racket, not only the banks, but the government, okay? Because the government works the same way with the Federal Reserve and your income tax, all right? That's another thing. They take your money, they lend it out, and then at the end of the year, oh my God, I'm getting my income tax back. Yeah, dummy, but that was your money to begin with that was stolen from you by, this government. But I digress. But yeah, so what would you say then, Keith, to people that, and I was one of them in the beginning, and this is still a concern of mine, but not much more than a lot of other concerns, because I understand what value is and what money is. And if you have literally a gold bar, and I have an apple and you're starving to death, you'll give me that gold bar for an apple. So I understand goods and services. So what would you say to somebody who's worried about cryptocurrency and saying that, hey, when the electricity goes out, or if there's an EMP, or the internet gets shut down, what do you say to people that say that your money is only as good as what you could get for? Well, what would happen if they tried to shut it down in some manner?
Well, the government shutting it down is it's improbable, because it would just cost them way too much money, and just to attack it. To attack it would be almost impossible. And once they do it, it would cost them billions of dollars a second. And in order for them to continue doing it, it would cost them billions of dollars a second. It would ultimately destroy the dollar. They'd have to print money just to destroy it. So they won't do that. And they, they're not stupid. They would look towards Bitcoin, and I know people that are in the government and in the defense industry that are highly involved in Bitcoin for their own monetary gain. They're using Bitcoin because it is the way of the future. The technology is where Bitcoin holds its value. The best part to describe, say an EMP pulse goes off, and the whole world is blacked out, so we no longer have internet. Well, I think the last thing anybody's going to be worried about is whether their Bitcoin is working or whether they can pull money from their bank, because that money will be worthless no matter what, because people are going to want to eat, and it's going to be chaos in the streets. But at that point, it doesn't matter. Money does not exist. Gold and silver will be worthless. It doesn't matter what you have. You're not going to be able to trade anything because people are just going to be, you give me your food. And, you know, that's something I'm not worried about. I don't think it's going to happen, because if that happens, you really have to look at the people that are in charge. They don't want that to happen to themselves. They enjoy having power. They enjoy having money. So Bitcoin has its value in the way it's designed, blockchain. And what the blockchain is, it's an open ledger to the world. So, in essence, any transaction is recorded and is open for the public to view. Now, a lot of people were getting into Bitcoin because they thought that it was anonymous. It's not anonymous at all. There are actually other cryptocurrencies that are being built upon the Bitcoin programming, like Darkcoin, for example, which
I was just going to ask you about that.
Anonymous aspect of it. Yeah. So that's the beauty. Is this is just the beginning. Other currencies are popping up to fill in different gaps of the market. Another example would be Potcoin, POT coin. It's actually being used now to allow transactions between legal marijuana businesses in Denver, or in Colorado, with their customers and each other. So they can because they have an issue right now where they can't use Federal Reserve banks to transfer money from point A to point B, and they're dealing with hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars. So they're going to be, and they're getting involved in doing this in cryptocurrency so they can transfer this money. Currency is best described as they don't try hiding what these words are. The root word of currency is current, right? And that what does a river have? A river has current, and on either side of each river is a bank, and the flow of liquidity or water or energy, shall we say, from one bank to another, that's liquidity, and the currency is what transfers the energy.
Right.
Do you agree? So the way the whole world works is you do a service, you put your energy out, you get these energy credits, and that's what dollars are. And the dollar is based upon, or the oil is based upon the dollar, and that's why they call it the petrodollar. Right. And it's the reserve currency of the world. If the dollar collapses, all currencies in the world collapse. There's not going to be a replacement for it. It's too deep into energy. The only way that would ever happen was if all oil, coal, and electricity ran out, basically, which it's not. And what Bitcoin offers is the opportunity for us to take those energy credits away from the dollar and start competing. See, I wanted to end the Fed for years, and I realized this is not going to happen. There's not enough people really awake to end the Fed. Why? Because there's no monetary gain in it. People don't do anything unless it benefits them. I mean, you're talking about ending the Fed and everybody starving to death, basically. That's what would happen. Right. And there'd be war in the streets. You end the Fed, it's got to be, and some people are like, well, let's audit the Fed. Well, that's going to be just as bad because it's going to bring forth that, the Fed's fraudulent and it could crash the dollar, Well, I think the best way, and this is where I came into cryptocurrency, I was like, how can we outcompete the dollar? How can we convince people in the free market to leave the dollar and start working towards alternative currencies? And, that's when I got into Bitcoin. So that's where I am today.
So yeah, and when you said something here, and I want to ask you a question in a second, when you said that the dollar, if something like that were to happen, that the dollar would be worthless and gold and silver, because all that would matter is what people, their essentials, what they would need to survive, like food. I'm sure you realize that Bitcoin, that was all the cryptocurrencies. If the energy went down, pretty much everybody is hit from top to bottom. That's what you meant, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everything
Okay,
would
all
be.
right.
But I mean, yeah. I mean, Bitcoin would be the last thing anybody would be worried about.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
like
Oh, right.
the
That's
dollar. I
like
mean, people would be using dollars to heat their houses, to
right.
stay warm. I mean, that's. But,
I
so
have a question. I have a question from the chat room, and I'm not sure what they're even talking about. Maybe you know. It says to ask you about InQtel, like
in
IN.
QTEL.
Yeah, are you? Is that familiar? Does that sound familiar?
No, I'm not familiar with it. If it is it I mean, if it's
Uh,
a cryptocurrency company
let's
or
see.
something, I'm not sure.
Whoever put that in the chat room, if you want to be more specific. Oh, see, you're saying see. Try to be a little bit more specific because we're not really. He said CIA. Oh, you just sent me a link. All right, hang on. Let me see if I can pull this up for you real quick, buddy. Let's see here. All right, here I got it right here.
CoinProtel.
InQtel, the IQT mission. We identify, adapt, and deliver innovation technology solutions. Support the missions of the Central Intelligence Agency, broader U.S. intel. Wow, what is this? What does this have to do with cryptocurrency? Do you know, Jeff?
It's one of the conspiracy theories out there is that the government created cryptocurrency.
Technology development.
Well, oh, okay. Keith, say that again, brother.
One of the conspiracies out there is that the government created cryptocurrency, and
for a world
and
currency.
I can see how that could be for the general person that believes everything that could be possibly out there, that could be a possibility. I will never say 100% I know whether or not, because I don't know whether or not the government created it. But if the government did create it, what they did was they created a monster, something that they cannot control. Say I want to sell you my car. Well, I can now record via the blockchain the transfer of title from me to you on my key. So only that key has a Bitcoin on it that records the ownership of that car.
Right.
So I can transfer that from me to you, and then it goes on the blockchain, and the whole world knows about it.
Right.
No need any longer for a state DMV. You no longer have to go to the notary anymore and notarize and pay taxes to the state to transfer property. So what that would do, what Bitcoin does, is and this is an argument I've heard that the government could have created it. Why would the government give power to the people to transfer property to each other and cut them out of the loop? Right. It's highly improbable. Don't see it happening. I really, it's impossible. I mean, you think about marriage contracts. Think about birth certificates. It can all be recorded via the blockchain. It takes the power out of even having a state house.
And here's the thing, and I'm getting a lot of feedback from all over the place here right now. Are you able to hold over through the break?
Yeah, sure.
All right, awesome. But yeah, I'm getting a hit up from all kinds of people here. And when the break comes, we'll just go to it, and then we'll come right back. But I mean, I understand the legitimate argument about people being worried about a one world currency, because I mean, we all pretty much originated that. That was one of the first things in our journey is one world government, one world currency. So I understand where they're coming from with that. Well, it looks like the break's on us. So hold that thought, Keith. Thanks for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. We're with Keith Smith, talking cryptocurrency, freedom, the future, all kinds of good stuff. Hopefully, this is Anthony Antonello, Science is Compliance, and we will be right back. And we are back. It's Silence is Compliance on the FBRN Radio Network, broadcasting live from my home base here in Pittston, Pennsylvania. If I didn't tell you earlier, today's date is June the 18th, 2014. I know many of you never even thought we would have made it this far. And yeah, personally, I believe we are on borrowed time, but I'm going to make the best of every second that I have. And I think that is becoming extremely apparent in the numbers and what we're doing here as we ever so eloquently step into the mainstream and replace them. And all it takes is the truth. All it takes is somebody willing to stand up, people willing to stand up and speak the truth and talk about things that matter. And that is exactly what we are doing right now with Keith Smith from Philadelphia talking cryptocurrencies. So, Keith, before we went to break, I brought up the point that it's I totally understand people's arguments when they say global currency, and that's something that we should avoid at all costs. And I don't even think we need to stay on this too long because I'm sure you would, or I would think you would agree that if the globalists want a global currency, they're going to get it. I mean, other than people willing to say, "Okay, kill me, I'm not taking a chip," or fighting in that manner. If they want a global currency, I'm pretty sure they're going to be able to put one in place. I mean, do you disagree?
They already have a global cryptocurrency, and they've been using it for my whole life and your whole life, and it's called the dollar. Yes, the dollar is a cryptocurrency. In the essence, it is 97% digital, and it can be transferred electronically from one side of the world to the other.
Good answer. Good answer. So, like I said, we could. I knew we'd be able to move right on from that one. But Jeff, you had a question, didn't you?
Yeah. Hi, Keith. This is Jeff. I have a question for you. I'm looking at an article that appeared in Forbes on 6/12, so it was the 12th of this month, about the feds are looking to auction off $18 million worth of Bitcoin that was seized from the Silk Road at the end of the month. And my question is, how is that going to affect the value of Bitcoin over the next couple months? I see that from what I can see, the value right now is trending down, and I'm just wondering if that's something that we're going to expect to see, and if that's something that Bitcoin will be able to recover from.
Well, I believe it was earlier this week, Forbes magazine said the end of Bitcoin doomsday in one of their articles because of a 51% attack on, and what a 51% attack is, when you have more than 51% of the mining power in the hands of one person or one corporation. And there's a cryptocurrency company called Ghash that what it does is it uses the collective power of everybody's computers working together through one corporation. So like I can use my computer, someone else uses their computer, and they're all working together to mine together Bitcoin. And they reached the 51% level, and they said, "Oh, Bitcoin, this is it. Bitcoin's done. It's finished." So then Bitcoin dropped from, I think it was 670 down to 540, and now I looked at it earlier and it's at 600.
What's it at today?
Forbes magazine, it's 607 last I checked.
Okay.
So it's trending back up. And what I'm seeing is the harder the mainstream media attacks Bitcoin, every time they put out these huge articles, all across the world, it's not just one mainstream media report. All of them report on something that goes on with Bitcoin. And they sit there and they rub their hands together and they're like, look at it go down, look at it go down. And it goes down bad. But every time they do it, it goes down a lot less than it did before, and then it recovers a lot quicker. And I'm loving it because this is the free market. It's free market at hand where people are like, they're stopping listening to the mainstream media. They're like, you know what? Right. Well, the mainstream media has been telling me for the past 2 years that Bitcoin's done, and it just keeps on. It keeps on surviving. What it comes down to is Bitcoin is not on the full faith and credit of the United States. It's on the full faith and
and reserve of the crypto community. I personally believe in the human heart that people out there in the world have better hearts than, in general, like all of us combined. There's more good people in the world than there are bad. And when you put all the power in all the people's hands, you don't have to worry about it when you like you do with a central currency where it's a few people controlling it. And Bitcoin will not be the only cryptocurrency. Litecoin popped up right away. Now I think there's like over 200 cryptocurrencies out there.
Yeah.
So you're talking a massive market of currencies.
There's more current cryptocurrencies than there are countries. So it already competes with the fiat in the market that you can choose anything you want. You can make your own crypto coin, and if you have a good business plan on how to integrate it with a service or an idea, you can make that cryptocurrency explode. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I really wouldn't. Forbes magazine is about, Forbes is about the dollar. They've reported a lot on the Bitcoin because there's a lot of bankers, a lot of investors that are interested in Bitcoin. And these are people that are looking at risky investments, and Bitcoin is a risky investment. And if any of your listeners are thinking about investing in Bitcoin, take in mind, don't drop your life savings into it. Start off with something small, like $10. Just see how it works. And then once you like that, you might be like, hey, I got to transfer $1,000 to my aunt in Connecticut, and it needs to be there today. Boom, done. In 10 minutes. And you're done. And so
yeah.
After that, you love it. I mean, you're like, that was easy. It sure beats Western Union where I had to, $1,000. I had to pay them like $100 in fees.
Well,
I only paid a couple dollars.
I transferred $800, and it was like 15 cents for like the one aspect of it, and I think overall, like everything all together, it might have been like $7. It was just off the chain, like incredible. And here's what I wanted to get into, because the show's flying by, and I still have to try to cover a couple other things, but I want to ask you this while I got you. I seen somebody in the chat room said something about wanting open currency, and I could appreciate that, but at the same time, when you look at dark wallet, what do you think about dark wallet? Because the idea of dark wallet is to have a cryptocurrency that's anonymous, where people can't see what you're doing. How do you feel about that?
Well, exactly, and dark coin is not necessarily anonymous yet. What they're doing is people are they're investing into it, and the more people that invest their money into it, the more money there is to work with to ensure that the code can be anonymous. So I think that, absolutely, you've got the brightest minds in the world. I'm talking mathematicians that would otherwise be working for the government building bombs or building cryptocurrencies. Why?
Right.
Because this is what they love. This is people's passions, and they're focusing their time on having a better world. Right. And that's the real meaning behind cryptocurrency. When I belong to a lot of cryptocurrency clubs, and I talk with people that have millions and millions of dollars in Bitcoin, and not a penny in fiat, not a penny in fiat. So that's how much they believe in cryptocurrency. They're in it for the same reasons you and I are in it, because we are on borrowed time.
Right. Well, what I was going to say, as far as people who want an open currency, is normally you would think that wouldn't be a problem, but see, this is the whole paradigm shift. All right, with having a government and having this centralized authority over everybody right now. Yeah, I completely understand wanting everything completely open and transparent, but we're talking about, and I know we've been focused just on the cryptocurrencies, but a lot of us are advocating for a completely different society, and in that society, you should voluntarily be able to do things voluntarily without being forced to do them. And in a society like that, if you want to do things without other people knowing, you should have that right. And in this system that we're at right now, I mean, not only can you like things aren't secret, they have secrets on, they have files on you that you can't even see. You know, it's like it's my file, and you're not going to let
Yep.
me see my own file. You know, and this is the world that we live in today, and this is
Well,
why
the
this world needs to be, you know, it turned upside down, and you know, it needs to be reset. You know, effective immediately, if not
well
sooner.
the dollar is very, very secretive. That's why they use the dollar in all the black market dealings. Whenever the CIA is trading drugs, you know, or weapons. I mean, like they're sending weapons to Al Qaeda in Syria. I mean, where do you think the money is being transferred? It's in dollars, and it's secret, and it's hidden. Now, they could do that with cash.
Right.
Digitally, it's a lot harder to do that. So they usually deliver suitcases and crates full of, you know, $100 bills.
Right.
And that's how they get the jobs done. There is a market for that type of black market, and there always will be a market for that. And that's kind of where dark coin comes into effect, where you'll still be able to anonymously, you know, do transactions. Now,
Yeah.
if you see the government dealing explicitly in dark coin, wouldn't you be questioning why they're only dealing in black coin? I mean, not black coin, dark coin. You know, so
Right.
it's, you know, you'd be shady about that. Now, Bitcoin, on the other hand, and other cryptocurrencies that are open, if I opened a bank next to a current fractional reserve bank, and on the sign I had broadcasted how many Bitcoins I had in reserve, how many Federal Reserve notes I had in reserve, how
Right.
many were in savings, and how much I had loaned out, wouldn't you rather put your money there than the bank next door that just has a fancy sign?
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, it's all broadcast right then and there. The blockchain is telling the whole world that, hey, our books are balanced. We don't even
Right.
need an FDIC. There's no need to have an FDIC. There won't be a run on the banks. And if there is a run on my bank, every single savings account will be paid back. That's where the blockchain, the open ledger,
Right.
open money, transparency, that's the beauty behind it. I mean, in the future, really, Bitcoin is changing the way everything is. Stock markets will no longer be easily manipulated. The manipulation will almost cease to exist. It'll take some time. This is something we are in the beginning stages now. It's really
Right.
the birth. It's like when you first got on the internet back in the early 90s, did you know how to make a web page? No, nobody knew how to do it. But
Right.
today, anybody can pump out a web page. Anybody can, you know, start their own website. So it all comes down to, hey, 10 years from now, our kids will be talking cryptocurrency, and it won't even be taboo. They'll be like, hey, I'll give you, you know, 2 Bitcoins for this bicycle, and they won't even think twice about it. Meanwhile, there'll still be libertarians out there and statists who will be like, oh, these cryptocurrencies are, you know, they're bad, you know, the dollar's the way to go. And it
Right.
cracks me up. There's so many people out there that believe in, they talk it bad against the dollar, but they're going to stay with the dollar. And they
Yeah.
buy everything with dollars all day long and
Well,
pay their
you-
taxes in dollars.
Well, you know me, brother, for years now, and you've seen firsthand. I got into it, and I did my best to and I'm trying, I'm learning, and I'm trying to, you know, I'm trying to live by my principles, and I'm trying to opt out of the system every, you know, every opportunity, and obviously that's not easy for people to do, but I'm working on it. There's other people that are working on bigger projects, and you know, doing a lot of great things, and you know, agoras, well, you know, people that are really living the, you know, an agorist life, and they are just taking it to a whole new level, and you know, I think it's great, and if we could get more parents to, you know, not send their kids to these public indoctrination centers, and actually teach them important things, so they're not growing up where they can't do simple math questions. But I don't know, that's just me ranting. But you know, the show's winding down here, Keith. I really appreciate you coming on and breaking this down. the way you did. I'll definitely have you back on and talk more about it because I do see a future here for this. And so here, last question. It seems like Bitcoin is kind of like the reserve currency for like cryptocurrencies. Now, is there a cryptocurrency that you see, do you have a hunch that is gonna like maybe take off or that really has a lot of potential?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've had hunches, and these coins are currently very good coins. I would say, dark coin, the whole
Cody
market, the black
Wilson.
market
Yeah.
out there. Dark coin is an excellent coin to get a couple coins of. Um, uh, Bitcoin Plus, Bitcoin Plus, there's only 55,350 of them. And what it does is it uses proof of stake instead of proof of work like Bitcoin does. You can't
Right.
mine it anymore, but everybody that holds it actually gets paid an interest payment, just like a U.S. savings bond, except
Oh
it's
wow.
not, being controlled by United States government, and the Federal Reserve. Another pot coin's a great one. Why? Because marijuana is being legalized all across the United States, and this is going to be a way that marijuana companies deal with each other. So
Right.
that has a lot of promise. Those are three great coins I definitely invest in. Good thing to do is do all your research before you invest in the coin.
Right.
Go to cryptocurrency collector clubs, check out the blogs, and the internet is the best
That's
source of
yeah.
information in a phone.
That that's
So,
exactly what I did, and then get in touch. I was lucky enough to be able to get in touch with you, and the more people that learn about this and put information out, the easier it's going to get. But Keith, thanks for all the information. Thanks for coming on the show, and we'll talk to you again soon. All right?
All right, thanks for having me on.
Anytime, brother. Have a good one.
You
All
too.
right, there you have it, guys. That was Keith Smith, great activist, known him for years, and really got in depth with cryptocurrencies. And like I said right from the gate, I've been torn on it from the beginning, but as we're moving, and at the same time, I didn't. I do feel that we're on borrowed time. So, I mean, things could collapse overnight. We don't know, but we can't live our lives that way. We can't live our lives waiting for the collapse, waiting for, all these terrible things. We're going to need good people to be able to rebuild. Hopefully, if they could survive what's coming, we're going to need good people that are going to be able to start rebuilding. That understand agorism and anarchism and libertarianism and understand all these very important principles and ideologies that voluntarism, that we could build a free voluntary society. So as we're winding down here, before I get cut off, I do want to mention a couple things. Definitely go to Adam versus the Man and check that out because he just released his book Freedom. It's the pre-release. The official release is July 4th, and I believe we have an event going on July 4th. Uh, I have an event going on July 3rd. If you could get to Scranton, that would be great. If you can't get to Scranton, get in touch with me. If you want to help, I could use people making phone calls, and you could be part of a great thing of activism that I'm going to be doing, and it has to go against the quote unquote mainstream media, and it's going to be a real good time. But make sure you go to my website, anthonyantonello.com. Check out the calendar. Okay, that'll have everything. Liberty Chats, 7 to 9 Sunday. Voluntary Virtues Network, Tuesday 7 to 8, and then right here on our home station, FPRN Network. Go there. And this is what I really want to stress to you. If you don't have this app, the TuneIn app for your phone, get it. It's free. You could listen to the show wherever you're at. Whether you have a Bluetooth earpiece or just a pair of earbuds, you could turn your phone on and listen to the show and tell people about the show. The numbers are growing, and we're constantly putting stuff out. So just imagine if you told people, hey, you need to watch this show. A lot of you guys come here religiously and watch this show. That's great. That's what we need. We need to get out to more people. This is the complete transition of us getting into the mainstream, and we couldn't do it without you, and we can't do it without you. So stay tuned, stay informed. If you're able to help in any way, go to my website. If you want to make a donation, that's fine. If you want to help in any other way, if you want to write stories, if you want to be a reporter and go cover stories, if you have any tips, if you have any leads, get in touch with me, write me. And if I don't get right back to you, it's, write me again. Don't feel bad. That's fine, because it's hard keeping up with everything I do. But that's pretty much it. Jeff, do you have anything else? We're pretty much done here. You got anything, brother?
No, pretty much wrapped up. You could hear us again on Sunday night on Liberty Chat. And if you missed that, we're also on the Voluntary Virtues Network on Tuesday night.
Yes, sir. So we're all over, and that's and I really encourage you to watch the shows live. That's your best bet, because you never know what's going to happen, and we do our best to try to get as much of this online and archived as quick and as soon as possible. Also, Wilkes-Barre Independent Gazette. I write for them. I'm going to be writing an article in the next day or two. Make sure you go to that website and check them out. That's a local independent news reporters that are doing a great job locally. So that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you for joining me tonight on this sweltering hot Wednesday day, June 18th, 2014, as the revolution, evolution, lovolution continues in this information war that wages on, and we are at the tip of the spear, bringing you the truth, the information, and the real stories that you need to hear. So I guess I'll see you Sunday. And I didn't even get into the fact that we're going to be trying to do shows every single night very soon too. So make sure you go to my YouTube channel, subscribe, and go to my backup channel, Sciences Compliance Live, and subscribe to everything you can and get my emails, so that way you just, as soon as something happens, you'll get an email update and you'll be completely informed. So we're going to bring it to these guys harder than anybody has ever done before. So make sure you're there with me and witness us write the pages of history. So that's all I have for tonight. Anthony Antonello, and I am out.
Thanks for listening to FPRN. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter. If you'd like to start your own show with FPRN, advertise with us, or donate to the network or to your favorite shows, check out our website at www.fprnradio.com.